Well, you're here now and we're happy for that. I have 12:15. So, good noontime and welcome to Rotary, everyone. We are so glad that you are here with us today. We've got a wonderful program scheduled just for you. And Jan, would you be so kind as to bring us to order today?
Certainly. Let's pray. Gracious Lord, we do give you thanks for this day. And we give you thanks that through Rotary, you call us to serve our community. And we give you thanks for the awareness that we have to measure how well things are doing before we can decide what to do that will serve best. So please help us to absorb all that our speaker has for us today as we learn more about how things are going in our community of Kingsville and South Texas. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jan. And let's see here. Norma, would you like to unmute and lead us in pledge today?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Norma. And let's see. Pep, there you are. Would you like to lead us in song today?
Sure. Rotary, that spells Rotary. Rotary is known on land and sea. From north to south, from east to west, one province must, who serves the best. Rotary, that spells Rotary.
Thank you so much. Wonderful job. Wonderful job. Let's see, we have lots of things happening today. Let's start with some visiting Rotarians. And David, would you like to introduce yourself to us, please?
Be happy to. My name is David Hilarities. I'm the general manager for Sparklight Cable TV. I've been a Rotarian for a little bit less than a year. I joined the Aransas Pass Club, and I appreciate the invitation, and I'm glad to be a part of your meeting today.
Thanks so much, David. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. And let's see, going down the list, I think that's all of our visiting Rotarians. We have some guests today. Christine is at the end of her new membership working stuff, so she is almost not a guest anymore. And it looks like Lucy is with us. Are you there, Lucy? Let's say yes. She is also working on new membership things there. And Sissy, I'm glad you're able to join us today. Hello, hello. Let's see who else. And Crystal, let's see. Dawn, would you like to introduce Crystal to us today?
I would love to. Crystal is going to become a member. She's already filled out her application, right? I think. Crystal is a friend of mine. We hang with a group on Thursday nights and do some other things. And we got talking at an event last week, and I said, "Come on." She's a director for a career academy, but I'll let her tell us what she does. Crystal.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite, Dawn. Yes. So I just moved, me and my family moved to Loyola back in August. I'm from Brooks County, been there all my life. And now we are living here on the Bay, and that's how I got to meet Dawn. I am the director of a career academy, which is Los Miscellaneos Career Academy in Falfurrias. We are a nonprofit organization that partners with colleges and two-year community colleges to offer in Brooks County. But now that I'm in this area, I'm also looking at expanding it as well. That's why in talking with Dawn, I thought, how can I get involved in the community and how can I start to connect with other organizations? So Thank you. And I'm also a business owner. I own a rental venue, which is called the Gallery Downtown in Falfurrias, that we rent out for meetings and private events. So thank you for the invite. And I look forward to hearing what everybody is doing and getting to meeting each and every one of you all. So thank you again.
Well, Crystal, thanks so much for joining us today. And Dawn, thank you for extending that invitation. Let's
Absolutely.
see. Deb came in. Hello, Deb. Good to see you. And hello, Allison. Hello, Claudia. I think that rounds us out there. And of course, we have one more guest, and that is Tom, but we'll get to him in just 1 minute as our official speaker for today. Get your pie forks ready because we have lots to celebrate. We have a birthday coming up, Danny, on December 11. We have Lori Urbanovsky on December 12 and Mary Cusack on December 13. So log into Club Runner, find their phone number, and wish them a happy birthday at the appropriate time. So happy birthday, y'all. We have a wedding anniversary coming up, Crystal and Ryan on December 12. Crystal, Ryan has no excuses not to remember now. It's in the program. So if he forgets, you let us know. We'll rough him up for you.
12, you can't forget that one.
Congratulations. And we have a wedding or Rotary anniversary. Pep, let's see, where'd you go? There you are. Happy Rotary anniversary, Pep. We're so glad that you're here with us for 2 years now. Where is the time gone?
I don't know, but I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's see. Do we have any happy dollar announcements today? Okie dokie. Just see, Charles is not here with us, but last week was Giving Tuesday, and Jay Dean spoke at length about what Giving Tuesday is. He is our local expert on Giving Tuesday. Do you have any results to share with us, Jay Dean, on Giving Tuesday?
You know what? I do know, I heard from the district that a lot of people gave on Giving Tuesday. In the thousands is what we actually raised. But I can't remember, Jess, I apologize, you might have it, but people did give in the thousands around the district.
Thanks so much. No, that question was not a trap. And so for those of you that don't know, Giving Tuesday, that was giving specifically toward the Rotary Foundation. And remember, the Rotary Foundation is how we do our good works in our local communities and throughout the world. This rounds out our Foundation Minute.
Justin, I do have that total if you're interested.
I am interested.
Sure. So Eddie Barneski, our district governor, said that a total of 54 Rotarians from District 5930 made a total contribution of $4,741. And he was only asking for $23 a person. So he was very, very pleased and honored that we had several Rotarians who donated over $1,000 each.
Thank you so much, Crystal. That is fantastic information. Thank you for the update. A little bit on programming. So we historically have gone dark for the Rotary meetings immediately before Christmas and New Year's. And so this year is no different. That way you can spend time with your friends and your family in the real or the virtual world, however you choose. But we will be dark for December 22 and December 29. The 29th would have been our in-person hybrid meeting. And so we will not have an in-person hybrid meeting this month. But because December 1st was on a Tuesday, we do still get 3 other meetings. And so our last meeting for this calendar year will be next Tuesday. We also decided as a board to forego in-person Rotary After Dark / Christmas party for this month. Just due to a lot of different things happening in the crazy world out there. So we're not going to do an in-person thing, but an interesting question came up whether we want to do a virtual thing. We could do a virtual Rotary After Dark / Christmas party. And so if anybody is interested in doing that and interesting in hosting and taking on that project, then do let us know as soon as possible. Otherwise, nothing is on the books yet. If you are interested, please do reach out to your very favorite director and let us know as soon as possible so Jadine can get that in our next bulletin. And we have a program, if you have forgotten, with the Dar y Servir School in Monterrey, Mexico. A few weeks ago, Susan Morera met with us virtually, and she and her husband Hector have met with us in person in the past. We have supported the school for many years now. We have a long-standing relationship with them. And Richard, would you like to explain what this donation ask is for?
Yes, thank you. Dada Silvier it's not a school, it's a scholarship program. And we've been supporting this for the last 6 or 7 years. It's a scholarship program for poor kids in often dangerous neighborhoods in Monterrey, Mexico. I knew these people when I was there, I don't know, 27 years ago or so. A wonderful, wonderful program. And if you saw the online program, you saw some of the kids too. Some of our Rotarians have been generous enough to donate computers. Alo went there a couple of years ago and discovered that some of the kids did not have computers, which is very difficult to study. This is for high school and university. Universities in Monterrey, the state university doesn't have any tuition. So really hundreds of kids now have high school and university degrees and are now professionals that would not have been possible otherwise. So this year, our club doesn't have enough money. I've made a deal to match the club's money some years ago, but our club does not have enough money this year. So if anybody would like to contribute to this, that would be very helpful. We normally give $5,000 per year. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Richard, for that. And the reason that we don't have those funds are things like our weekly raffle that we used to do in person, and our parade of homes and spaghetti dinner and all those other kinds of things. The monies that we raise locally, then those could be used for international projects. And so that part of our budget just doesn't exist this Rotary year. And so if you would like to donate toward the Dar y Servir program, our international project, then you can do so through our Square account. The same place that you pay your dues online, there is now an extra item in there where you can donate directly to this program. This fundraising activity will run through the month of December, and then we'll send a check down for whatever it is that we raise. And Dawn, did you have something to add to that? Oh, okay.
Nope, I was getting ahead of you.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much. I'm slow, but I get there.
Thank you.
And so if you have any questions on that, then don't hesitate to reach out to your very favorite director. And last week, we began our nomination process for our upcoming Rotary Years officers and directors. And we had a proposed slate of nominees from our nominating committee, and these are the ones that were accepted. So, do we have any more nominations to add to this slate before you? Seeing none, I, at this time, will enter. Richard, do you have something to add?
Yes, I got an email from Crystal saying about 8 or 9 days ago, asking if I wanted to continue as international program director. I sent it back and said yes. I don't know if Crystal got that or not.
I believe she is on top of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so at this time, I will entertain a motion to accept our slate as proposed.
Justin,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the slate as proposed.
Thank you, Pep. We have a
I will
motion,
second that motion.
and Norma has
I'll
seconded.
second that.
Thank you so much. It has been moved and seconded that we accept the proposed slate of officers and directors before you. Do we have any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, wiggle your fingers. All opposed, wiggle your fingers. Motion passes. Congratulations, Crystal, to your new board of directors and officers, and congratulations to Claudia, our current president nominee.
No appeals, ladies. You're in now.
And let's see, Claudia and Jadine, would you like to battle it out on who's going to introduce our guest today?
Claudia, will you please do it?
Sure. I'd like everybody to welcome Dr. Thomas Krueger from Texas A&M Kingsville. He has graciously chosen to come talk to us about our local economic status. And if you all please help me in welcoming Dr. Thomas Krueger to our club today.
Welcome, Tom. Welcome. Let me
Thank you very much.
my screen share here, and the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Now, can you see me at this point? Is this how this is working, Justin?
So
Yes,
we can see you, but we cannot see your screen yet.
Okay, we'll do that in just a second. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to be here with you today. I'm very impressed, Justin. That was among the most energetic of all of the Rotary meetings I've been to, and this is already the 10th of these economic forums. I've been here for 10 years, and in the early years we actually did 2 of them. But then what we did is we moved to having more important individuals in for keynote speakers, and it just took longer. For instance, this year we happen to have Glenn Heger. Glenn Heger is the comptroller for the state of Texas. So every time you buy something, you pay taxes, those pennies go into his checkbook, and then he decides how to dole those out. And when it comes to the legislature, and they're going to be meeting up here pretty soon for one of their all-important bienniums, he's the person that talks about how much money is coming in and what's going to be the impact of that, and of course, COVID-19 on the economy. Basically, out of his presentation, the key piece was that, bottom line, yes, there's been a lot less spending on travel and those sorts of issues, but there's been more spending around the house. So bottom line, he has approximately the same amount of money as he does normally to distribute in the state through universities, 2-year schools, everything that comes from the state comes through Glenn Heger's checkbook. And so he gave that presentation. And then I followed that up with the remainder. And let's see, to do this. And you should now be able to see 1/3 of the booklet.
Yes, sir, we can see that now.
And so now I'd like to go back to, if everybody could go to the chat location, you can find out where you can find this actual booklet. And so the booklet's been posted here. It's obviously there in constant contact files that I could see on my screen. Maybe you're seeing it on your screen also. And so it's on constant contact. What I'm going to be doing here for the next 20 minutes is sort of running you through. The idea is to give you some insight to the state and what's happening. And so if anything is ever going wrong with it, I drop you for some reason, Justin, just step in. I want to say I've always been impressed by Rotary. I've been impressed by Texas A&M Kingsville. Again, this is my 10th year here. During my time period here, we become accredited, and we are one of only about 5% of the schools in the world that are actually accredited by what's known as AACSB. We also, of course, as you know, at the university level, received a recognition from our alumni as being the top 50 in terms of alumni opinions. And when it comes to College of Business, within the College of Business, there's a assessment group out there known as Educate. And Educate has ranked Texas A&M Kingsville as being 8th in the nation. If you can imagine that, we're 8th in the nation in terms of a valuable master's degree education. And maybe that's one of the reasons that the master's degree has just been expanding. I'm in a position where I have multiple classes and multiple sections of all of my MBA classes. So with that as a backdrop, and hopefully people have had a chance to log in and check out this one screen, I'm going to drop way down to the bottom. And one thing I knew in anticipation of coming to you is that I would be going through these pieces. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to expand this a little bit. Now, hopefully, just again, you can tell me. You should be looking at figure 1.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Figure 1. Figure 1 is just COVID cases. I started tracking this back in June, and August 1st is when I actually went out there. We started surveying the local population, and all the way up to October. It was November the 3rd when we happened to give the presentation this year. The purple line is Krueger County. Krueger County is going to be us in all the graphics that you see. And what you can see is we went from being looking at only 54 cases per 100,000 to 3,269 in October. The way to look at that is about 3.2% of our population by the time we got to October 1st had COVID-19. Of course, almost everybody's recovered from it. Many people haven't. It's regrettable. And we'll be talking about that throughout the remainder of the presentation. An important aspect of COVID-19 is the fact that it's been impacting the aged population, which unfortunately now I'm part of, but the group that's 65 or more, of course, I'm not retired, but what you see there is that in Krueger County, we are about 13.2%, the retiree set. Those that are 65 or more is 13.2. Again, that's the group that has been most affected by COVID-19. On the other hand, the children, those that aren't yet to school, make up about 6.5%. Another key issue is what has this done to growth? In the United States, the estimate is that COVID-19 so far has trimmed 10 million people from the number of people in the United States 20 years from now, okay? How does that matter? How does that occur? Well, first we have the deaths. And secondly, we have people that are simply holding back on having children worried about economic conditions. Now, again, Krueger County is purple. You'll see that over the last 5 years, our population has actually down a little bit. Over the past 10 years, we're off by about 2.3%. So we have some catching up to do, let alone worry about being a decrease in the number of people due to COVID-19. Of course, another part of the discussion of COVID-19 has been the ethnicity of the individuals and those that are most affected by it versus those that are least. We in Krueger County are looking at 73.3%. You'll notice some other counties that are part of the discussion this year. Fayette and Medina County are the counties that back on August the 1st had the most similar level of positive COVID rate numbers, okay, as a percentage of the population. Fayette County is the one that is approximately halfway between San Antonio and Houston, Well, Medina is up to the northwest of San Antonio. Okay. Another issue that we had over the summer was the whole issue of the riots, and whether it was tied to race, whether it was tied to ethnic condition or economic conditions. One thing that surprised me, and this is maybe the thing that surprised me the most, was our income inequality. This is the income of the top quarter of the population relative to the bottom quarter of the population. And in Clayburgh County, the top quarter of the population makes 25% more, or 25 times more than the bottom 20% of the population. So there's a huge ethnic difference and economic difference. Harris County is in black here. Harris County, of course, is Houston, and you can see how they tend to go across approximately level at the 17 level, or the top 20% makes 17 times the bottom. One reason that this might be because of the poor income in the bottom quintile of our population. But the good news is that I'm tracking this over the past 10 years. The percentage of subprime population has dropped from 54 down to 44, or it's dropped by about 10%. Of course, this is also important because the one part of the banking industry that's been strong has been that portion that is tied to the first-time home buyers and single family construction homes. November 3rd is when we happen to have the economic forum. Also happened to be election day. It was the day that Mr. Heger was available, so we had to take it. Just some information you'll find here about Clayburgh County historically had been a Democratic county, and something about contributions. Let's go ahead and talk about private establishments. When it comes to Clayburgh County, in our county, there are 556 private establishments earlier this year. If we go back to 2002 versus 2020, that's a 9% increase. Fayette County, again, which is halfway between San Antonio and Houston, had a 15% increase. Medina County, which is relatively close to San Antonio, which has just been huge in terms of its growth, had a 33% increase. Let's drop down and talk a little bit about the key pieces for wages. And I want to go this one higher. Okay. This is the employment distribution in this area. And you can see right here is leisure and hospitality. Leisure hospitality was very important because it was during the COVID-19 shutdown, which might be occurring again, that this portion of the industry was negatively impacted. You'll see here us in Clayburgh County, 14% of our employment, which is approximately 1 out of every 7, happens to be in the leisure and hospitality industry, as opposed to nationwide, it's approximately 11. Okay. One thing that Glenn Heger had come and talked about was the fact that there was some offset in how people were spending money, and also because the CARES Act putting more money into the county, we actually had, in many ways, more money available. This is the annual county sales tax allocation. So it's a reflection on how much spending has been going on. And if we go back to 2009, 2011, you'll see that there's been some dips, but in general, it's been fairly constant for us. If we look at 2019, that's the most recent full year that we have, relative to 2009, spending here, dollars available, it went up by about 24%. Think of the fact we had less population. People in general have had more money that they can be spending. Well, let's look at some key pieces around the impacts of COVID-19. One is the workforce. And what you see is the workforce, and this, again, we're purple, happened to drop from 100, 99, 100 going through early part of the year. Then came March and it fell. We bottomed out at 89%, which would mean that 11% of the population was not earning an income in April. Or you can look at this in terms of the unemployment rate. And you can see how, again, our unemployment rate in Clayburgh County is about 4.2, 4.1, 4.5, but then it just zoomed up. In April, it was 12.4. That was already being cut back by June, by August. And the most recent data that just came out, again, showed that the unemployment rate has come down across the state, and good news that way.
Tom, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we had a question come in the chat box from a
Yeah.
figure a couple back. What is meant by private establishments?
Those that, it can be one person establishment or multiple person establishment that is paying some sort of taxes or obtaining taxes through sales.
So establishment is a business then?
Yes.
I see.
Yes, the university would not count as an establishment. Okay, so it's not government institutions or government-based institutions.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Here's one thing that has negatively impacted us, and that was hotel room sales and consequently the money that's being set aside for us here in this county. You can see that now, if we look back to January to June of last year, I set that at 100. July to September, relatively good. October, November is actually a little bit down. Oftentimes people are with family. This is not necessarily a big surprise. We would have hopefully went back to 100%, but instead came March, January through March, and you see there was the decline. And then April through June again. In Clayburgh County, 86% of the rooms that are normally occupied were being occupied. Actually, that's really pretty good compared to the other benchmarks that we have here and then across the state. But if we include across the state, we would be including Houston, we would be including Dallas. And so they would not be having their conventions. And oftentimes those locations happen to have attractions that are closed. So we were not nearly as affected, but again, every dollar lost is a dollar that's lost in this regard and has to be made up some other way. What most people care about is the forecast. And so once again, I had a graduate assistant, his name is Aman Tiari. Aman went out and helped me with the survey. If you were over in Harrell's, Aman may have walked up to you. Also, because there were so few people at Harrell's in many of these days, we also went to a local gas station and actually used another venue to try to attract people to give us some input. Overall, it's approximately 1/2 of our normal database, but I did some out of sample study and found approximately the same sort of results at the beginning or the end. Looking at the information here, what I want to focus everybody's attention in on are the blue lines. And so here first is business managers. And the blue line is improved in their opinion of the US economy. And you can see how that has moved up. People are much more confident about the economy next year than they were last year relative to where they are. Now, of course, we're at a much lower level. So thinking positively is good news, but this is sure good news relative to have been read. When it comes to local residents, they happen to move from 27% thinking things would be improved and 16% things that would be greatly improved to a large blue line again, 53%. So we've moved positively in terms of expectations about the future. Unfortunately, we have a lower base. Students themselves are also positive. When it comes to Clayburgh County, here you can see this is even more dramatic. If we go from 2019 to 2020, business managers who are always positive, I'll always find them with the highest percentage, in this case was 41, moved over to 63%, believing that next year would be better than this year. Among residents, thinking next year would be better than this year or at least improved, went from 32 to 47. Among students, 33 to 44. So you can see we had a rise in terms of expectation. And then the final question is, what do you think about yourself and your own personal economy? And this, if we look back to last year, tended to be about the same, with some people thinking it'd be quite well improved. The little blue line has taken off. And so if we were to add the blue and the brown line together here, it'd be about 84%. 84% of business managers think that they will be better off than they were. When it comes to local residents, again, we have relatively low lines compared to what we have now, and students. Consistently, people are thinking we are going to be much better off going forward. We have a couple illustrations here about perceptions of support of the business sector. And from where we were in 2015 to where we are today, the perception is that Clayburgh County is supportive. When we look at the local government, it's been fairly consistent across the board, going sideways. If we look at the university, again, pretty sideways. But the key point, I think, among these is the local community and the perception of managers would be purple, which would be you, of course, as members of the Rotary in large extent. The residents and even the students have been positive in terms of their view of us all banding together to help out and overcome the economic forum. I have only 2 slides left, or figures. One of these shows how healthcare, which was the second most important economic concern a year ago, is now number 1. For residents, healthcare was the key concern, and it's still key concern. Students also had the same situation as managers, which again would be you as Rotary members oftentimes, where healthcare has moved from the second most to the top concern. What dropped? City appearance was 4th. It is now no longer there. Was 4th and dropped to 5th among residents. Inflation has picked up a little bit for managers. Managers used to have that down the 5th concern, and it's come up to the 4th concern. Affordable housing tends to be through the center there. Finally, where would you spend money if given the opportunity? And here, let me try to expand this just a little bit. The oddity, the second biggest oddity that I found was that when people are talking about where they would like the government to spend additional dollars, we're looking at the first set of columns is last year. So it's managers last year versus managers this year, then residents and students in the average. And what you see here is this little red area has just blossomed. Last year, 7% of the managers said, you know, we should reduce taxes. That would be good. That went up to 34%, reducing taxes. That's where they wanted to spend the money. Not necessarily in economic development, although that did go from 10 to 13%. Or tourism, which went from 7 to 13, but it was saving money. That's where they were. That's the focus right here. Maybe it's what all of us are doing. And we're all thinking, you know, I've got to be careful with my spending. And that's how they translated being careful with spending over towards tax reduction. When it came to schools in general were even for managers and street repairs. Let's look over to residents. This is a good example of the purple here, where public schools, that's been squeezed, but maybe because, people are at home. And a street repair, that also got squeezed. Well, people aren't traveling as much. In each of these instances, you'll see more money to tax reduction and to economic development and to some tourism. By the way, there was all a discussion about defunding the police. You'll see, for instance, on average over here, the defunding the police a little bit, but not that big, and especially residents. Residents are still saying they want 11% of any new money to go to fire protection and police protection. So I was given a message that I should close or stop sharing this about 12:55. And I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to share these results. I'm at the university, Texas A&M Kingsville. You can contact me here at any time. And I look forward to spending more days with you going forward.
Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. We have one anonymous question that has come in through the chat box real quick. Jay Dean asks, he was taught in business school that 3% unemployment is as low as the economy can realistically go. Is that still true? And did he get a good education?
Oh, he got a great education. Yes, 3% is oftentimes considered to be it's called structural unemployment, is people are moving from one job to another, taking some time out for children, what have you. It just occurs. Nonetheless, the federal government is doing everything it can to reduce unemployment at this point, thanks to the CARES Act. So we might see it dip down a little bit less than that, but that's pretty accurate. Thank you.
Tom, thanks so much. And I'm sure that if anybody else has any questions to ask, then he would be happy to answer those from an email or a phone call. So Tom, thank you again so much for joining us today. We do have a few upcoming events. Don't forget that next Tuesday is our last Rotary meeting of the calendar year. We will be dark on the 22nd and the 29th. And so does anybody else have anything for the good of Rotary today? Okie dokie. It's time now to go to the weekly Paul Harris drawings. And so let's see who we have in the leaderboard. We actually have a little competition this week. So if I can get a drum roll, please. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pair 1, Danny and Mark Hussey, congratulations. You have been entered into this week's Paul Harris drawing. Don't forget, every week is a new opportunity to connect with your fellow members. And so go to your bulletin, go to the website and find your weekly pair and say howdy to them. And so, if you will please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? We stand adjourned. Thanks so much for being here today, y'all.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
new officers.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye, Tom.
Bye-bye now.
And Pep, if
Bye,
you have
everybody.
just a minute, Danny and I can speak with you unless you have to skedaddle to your next meeting.
Oh, big baby.
Okie dokie.